All right, now let's talk about bonds. So we're going to talk about single bonds, double bonds, and triple bonds. So a single bond is formed when one pair of electrons are shared between two atoms, right? And down below on the right bottom hand corner, you see this an example of it. So a single bond again is when you see the one line like that, it's just symbolizing that there is one pair of electrons. So two electrons, right, make one pair. So that dashed line right there is just showing you that these hydrogens are sharing an electron or sharing a pair of electrons. This bond is relatively weak and it has smaller electron density than a double bond and a triple bond, but it's the most stable because it has the lowest reactivity level. So it is the weakest, but it is the most stable. It means that the loss of electrons to atoms is less susceptible. So the most important thing to remember though for this is just remember this is a single bond here, and that line just represents that there's a bond between two atoms. And an example of these are you see here Cl stands for chlorine, right? So it's chloride. HCl is hydrochloric acid, NH2, and again, these are a single bond. Here we have an example in the bottom right hand corner of a double bond between two oxygens. So a double bond is formed by two atoms sharing two pairs of electrons. So remember, each of those lines represents a pair of electrons. So this type of bond is stronger than a single bond, but less stable because of its greater reactivity than a single bond, right? But again, the most important thing to remember from this is that the double bond symbol, the two lines, represents a double bond between the two atoms. So again, each line represents one pair. So if you have the one line, that's one pair, so two electrons. The second line is one pair, which means two electrons. So altogether, that means that there are four electrons being shared there, right? Two pairs. And if this confuses you, just think of shoes, right? A pair of shoes is two shoes, just like one of these lines is a pair of electrons, it's two electrons. So because there's two lines, that means there are four electrons altogether. And then you have the triple bond. This is just formed when a molecule shares three pairs of electrons between the two atoms, right? So it's the least stable of the three kinds of electrons we're going to, or the bonds we're talking about, but it becomes very vulnerable to losing an electron. So again, the main takeaway from this is remember, triple bond symbol, the triple lines indicates a triple bond, and each line represents a pair of electrons. So in this right here, how many electrons would it be? Yeah, and this one right here, the electron, there are six electrons, right? Two for each of those lines.